Because this boat has two motors, each motor has its own trim. So this would be the port trim, and this would be the starboard trim right here. I would use that if I needed to access one motor, or if maybe I'm in rough seas and I need to adjust the trim with an individual motor. But for today's video, we're going to be focusing on the one trim, the single trim, that controls both motors at the same time. Let's give these motors a start. Just like turning a key in a car, the old-fashioned way, no push buttons. Before we pull away from the dock, we need to get our lines off. The first line we're going to take off is our stern line, and then we're going to take off our bow line. That's typical for center consoles, which is the order that I would recommend going in. Depending on your boat and your setup, you're going to need to do what's best for you, but traditionally speaking, I would start with the stern and go to the bow. The reason you're going to want to start with the stern line is because if for some reason we're in a pinch and the wind is pulling us off the dock like crazy, and imagine I had taken the bow line off first and all of a sudden the bow starts shifting out, Emily's stern lines are tied up, she's not going to have access to full control with her motor. So take the stern line off first, she has all the control with her motors, then the bow line, and we're good to go. The recommended way to get off of a dock, guys, is to back off a dock. So before I even put a motor in gear, I'm turning my wheels so my motors are facing out. Check that out. Your motors are facing away from the dock. Her wheels are all the way turned. What I am going to do is I'm going to use my left or port motor in reverse, not both motors, because I want that turn to be kind of sharp. So let's go in reverse. So she's using her outside motor, this one, in reverse to pull us off the dock. But using only the outside one, she's going to have a sharper turn off the dock. If she used both, she would have more power. So now that she's off the dock, she's twisting her motors in the opposite direction. Which motor's in gear, Emily? Both of them. Now both of them are in gear, pulling us off and away from the dock. There's the dock. And we're going to start to drive forwards. She's pulling us off. We're safely away from the dock. And now she's driving us forward. Just like that, guys. If we had just pulled straight off the dock, when you turn your wheel, your transom will kick out, it'll actually hit the dock. If you go backwards, if the bow hits the dock, it might just hit a piling or something. You're not going to have straight up transom hitting concrete. Now that we're out here in open water, we are in the Bay or the Gulf of Mexico down in the Florida Keys, but this is where we're going to run around and play around with you guys and show you how to get on plane. First things first, what you're going to want to do is you're going to make sure your motors are trimmed all the way down. You might have done that back at the dock, but just in case, make sure your motors are trimmed all the way down. Our motors were not trimmed all the way down because we have some pretty shallow water once we leave our dock. So we actually trim them up. We pull off the dock, then we trim them up to get out away from the shallow water. And then when we're in the channel, we trim them back down, and it's time to start getting on plane. But that's just something to think about, guys. If you're in shallow water, trim your motors up a little. Don't want to lose a lower unit. Something important is know the draft of your boat. This boat's draft is 18 inches, so I know when that depth finder reads 2 feet, 3 feet, it's like, okay, I'm getting shallow water, let me trim up a little bit so I don't lose a lower